the cameras flashed, the crowd froze.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that, America's team had a completely new twist.
Yeah, fans were totally shocked by this new era. It was unprecedented.
Right. I mean, think about it. If you streamed a live game on your phone this week, or, if you've been complaining about a regional sports blackout.
Which everyone does.
Exactly. We all do it. But you are actually living in a media ecosystem that was entirely engineered by one guy's just chaotic, incredibly risky gamble back in the 1970s.
Yeah, way before algorithms or like streaming platforms spending billions on rights.
Right. The TV landscape was rigid. It was local, heavily regulated. But this one guy looked at that massive machine and decided to hack it. And his tool for hacking the global media landscape was essentially shooting a struggling local baseball team into space.
It is the ultimate disruption story. And the mechanics of how he pulled that off, I mean, it fundamentally changed how we consume sports.
And news and entertainment.
Oh, absolutely. Globally.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are speaking to you on a truly monumental date in both sports and media history. Today is May 6, 2026.
Yeah, a huge day.
The breaking news anchoring our exploration today is the passing of Robert Edward Ted Turner III. He just passed away at the age of 87 at his Avalon plantation down in Florida, surrounded by his family, following a battle with Lewy body dementia.
It's just a quiet end for a man whose entire life was, defined by making as much noise as humanly possible.
So true. So, our mission today is to unpack that colossal swashbuckling legacy. We have a massive stack of material in front of us. We're talking Associated Press obituaries, MLB.com, historical archives, real-time sports analytics, Yardbarker, local Atlanta press, all of it.
It's a lot to get through.
It is. And we're going to break down how Ted Turner built his empire, but more importantly, we're going to seamlessly connect his legacy to the exact state of the Atlanta Braves organization on this very day.
Right, because the 2026 Braves are navigating a totally chaotic, injury-riddled season.
Like they are still absolutely dominating their division.
Yeah, they are.
And we're going to explore how that specific resilience is the direct evolutionary descendant of the culture that Turner built. To me, he's like a modern-day tech disruptor before the internet even existed.
Oh, for sure. But to understand the clinical efficiency of the Braves today, you really have to understand the absolute chaos of the foundation Turner laid.
Right.
And that foundation actually begins with an immense amount of personal tragedy.
Yeah, let's start with that origin story. Because Turner was only 24 years old when he took over his father's billboard company, Turner Outdoor Advertising. This was back in 1963.
And he stepped into leadership under just the worst possible circumstances.
Right. He took over the business immediately following his father's suicide.
Which is, that tragedy profoundly shaped his entire worldview. And his risk tolerance, really.
How so?
Well, there are interviews where Turner talked about how his father's death left him completely isolated. He had, always relied on his dad to be the ultimate judge of his success and his failures.
Right, the safety net.
Exactly. Without that safety net or that authority figure, Turner essentially became untethered. Instead of playing it safe and just managing this $1 million billboard business he inherited, he leveraged it aggressively.
They went all in.
He really did. He parlayed that billboard money into purchasing a struggling UHF television station in Atlanta in 1970.
Okay, we need to explain what a UHF station actually was back then.
Yeah.
Because today it sounds like just a standard TV channel, but it really wasn't.
Oh, not at all.
UHF stands for ultra-high frequency. In the early 70s, these channels had terrible signal reach. You needed a special antenna. You had to constantly adjust the dial. And even then, the picture was usually just static.
Yeah, nobody watched them.
Right. The major networks had a complete monopoly on the clear, accessible VHF channels.
Which is where Turner's genius for recognizing technological loopholes comes in. He realized he couldn't compete with the local signal strength of those major networks,
Right.
But he noticed the nascent technology of commercial satellites. In the mid-70s, satellites were mostly for the military or massive telecom conglomerates.
But Turner just rents space on one.
Exactly. The RCA Satcom Thirda satellite. The mechanism is brilliant. He took his weak, local Atlanta UHF signal, beamed it up into space, and bounced it back down to cable providers all across the United States.
It's crazy. Suddenly, this tiny independent station in Georgia is beaming perfectly clear into living rooms in Montana and Iowa and Hawaii.
He completely bypassed the local monopolies.
And that became Superstation WTBS.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. If you have a channel broadcasting nationwide 24 hours a day, you have a massive vacuum. You need cheap, reliable content to fill those hours.
Especially during the summer when viewership drops.
Exactly. And that specific logistical problem is why Turner purchased the Atlanta Braves in 1976.
Yeah, he didn't buy the team because he was some lifelong baseball purist who wanted to sit in the owner's box.
Right, analyzing swing mechanics.
No, he bought them because a baseball team guarantees 162 days of 3-hour live programming. It was the purest form of vertical integration before that was even a buzzword.
He owned the satellite station.
And now he owned the water flowing through it, the games.
And by doing that, by bypassing those regional boundaries, he essentially created America's team, totally by accident. I mean, if you lived in a state without a major league team in the 1980s, you're probably a Braves fan.
Because they were the only team you could watch every day on your cable package.
Right. He turned a historically losing local franchise into a national obsession.
He certainly did. But, getting the games on TV was only half the battle. He still had to give people a reason to tune in to watch a team that, frankly, was losing a lot of games.
Which brings us to the stunts and the showmanship. There is this fantastic piece of lore in the MLB archives about pitcher Andy Messersmith.
Oh, this is a great story.
So in the early days of free agency, Turner signs Messersmith to a massive deal, which already infuriated the other owners. Messersmith wore the number 17.
And Turner's TV station was Channel 17.
Right, so Turner gives him the nickname Channel, and he actually had the word channel sewn onto the back of the jersey right above the number 17.
It was incredibly brazen.
He turned his starting pitcher into a literal walking billboard. The National League president, Chub Feeney, was furious and eventually forced him to take the name off. But, I mean, the PR victory was already secured. Everyone was talking about the Braves.
Everyone!
Okay, let's unpack this, though, because Turner sounds like an absolute PR genius, right? A master marketer. But did he actually know anything about baseball? Because the sources mention he literally made himself manager for a day. That does not sound like a guy who respects the nuances of roster building.
What's fascinating here is that his raw, aggressive, competitive drive completely overshadowed his baseball knowledge.
I mean, clearly.
Yeah, that managerial stint happened in May of 1977. The Braves were on a catastrophic 16-game losing streak, and Turner famously declared he wanted to see what it was like down in the trenches. He literally told his manager, Dave Bristol, to take a vacation for a few days. He put on a full uniform and managed the team from the dugout himself.
I just can't imagine modern players reacting well to the billionaire owner writing the lineup card.
Well, they lost 2-1 to the Pirates, extending the streak to 17 games, and the National League immediately intervened and passed a rule that owners could not manage their own teams.
Naturally.
But here is the most important part of the story. And the reason the Braves are the powerhouse they are today, it's his capacity for self-awareness.
Really?
Yeah. He eventually realized that chaos and PR stunts don't actually win championships. He learned to step back.
He hired the actual experts.
Exactly. He brought in brilliant baseball minds. He hired Bobby Cox and later brought in John Schwervolz to run the front office. And rather than interfering, Turner just provided them with the massive financial resources from his media empire.
To completely revolutionize their scouting.
Right. They didn't just buy aging free agents. They outscouted everyone, especially in Latin America, and built this incredible pipeline of homegrown pitching.
They had a uniform philosophy from rookie ball all the way to the majors. So when a guy got called up, he already knew the system.
And that specific infrastructure is what led to an MLB record 14 consecutive division titles from 1991 to 2005.
Plus the 95 World Series.
Exactly. When Turner first bought the team, he held a press conference declaring he was sick of Atlanta being known as Loserville, USA, and promised to build Winnersville.
And by funding the experts and getting out of their way, he actually did it. But it wasn't just baseball. To really grasp the scale of the guy, you have to look at the broader empire.
Oh, it was massive.
He applied that same disruption everywhere. In 1980, he founded CNN. He literally invented the 24-hour news cycle. Before that, news was just a 30-minute broadcast at 6 p.m.
He turned it into a constant global stream.
Right. He bought the MGM film library, which became TNT and Turner Classic Movies.
He owned the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Thrashers.
He was a world-class sailor, won the America's Cup in '77.
Pledged $1 billion to the UN.
$1 billion. And he became one of the largest private landowners in North America, dedicating millions of acres to bison herds and conservation. Plus, he and his then-wife, Jane Fonda, were this incredible Hollywood meets sports power couple sitting right behind the dugout.
He was a literal force of nature.
In Atlanta today, executives still talk about finding your inner Ted, like the spirit of bold thinking. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
If you look at the current Braves front office, General Manager Alex Anthopoulos might not be managing from the dugout in a uniform, but he is using that exact same fearless, aggressive problem-solving to navigate this current 2026 season.
Yeah, the Braves don't play at Turner Field anymore. They're at Truist Park, but that operational boldness is why they are surviving right now.
Surviving is an understatement.
True. Today, May 6, 2026, they are sitting at 26-12. They have a massive plus 79 run differential,
Which is insane.
dominating the NL East. And they are doing this while weathering a catastrophic tidal wave of injuries.
Let's lay out the current crisis, because it's staggering. As we record this, the Braves are missing Ronald Acuna Jr., the reigning National League MVP, who has a grade 1 hamstring strain.
Brutal.
They are missing Ha-Seong Kim, their elite $20 million offseason acquisition at shortstop, out with finger surgery. And they are, without their absolute ace, Spencer Strider, who is sidelined with an oblique issue.
Losing your MVP right fielder, your premium shortstop, and your #1 strikeout pitcher by the first week of May, that breaks almost any organization.
Right. So what does this all mean? Make the math work for me and for the listener. You lose all those stars, replace them with waiver wire call-ups, and your run differential is still plus 79. How are they dominating while losing their most expensive players?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's because the modern Braves haven't just built a good bench. They've built an arbitrage machine.
An arbitrage machine.
Yeah, they are essentially moneyballing the waiver wire. Look at the moves made today. They designated outfielder Jose Azocar for assignment.
So they DFA'd him, removed him from the 40-man roster.
Effectively cutting him. And to replace him, they called up a 25-year-old infielder named Jim Jarvis for his major league debut.
Let's talk about Jarvis, because he wasn't exactly a top 100 prospect. He was drafted in the 11th round by the Tigers back in 2023, and the Braves acquired him at the trade deadline last year for reliever Rafael Montero.
And that trade is the perfect example of financial arbitrage. Montero was struggling, carrying a bad contract. The Braves essentially agreed to take on that negative financial asset, a salary dump, in exchange for Detroit throwing in a low-level minor leaguer.
Jim Jarvis. So they bought a prospect by eating a bad contract.
Exactly. And Jarvis goes down to the minors and reinvents his value. In Triple-A Gwinnett this season, he was hitting .305 with 15 steals. But the stat that explains why he's so valuable right now is his plate discipline.
All right.
He had 23 walks compared to just 27 strikeouts.
Okay, let's break down why that specific ratio matters. Casual fans look at batting average or homers, but why does a high walk rate give a player a high floor?
Because it removes the variability of slumps. Even if Jarvis isn't making solid contact, a disciplined eye means he's still grinding out long at bats.
Yeah.
He's driving up the opposing pitcher's pitch count.
Forcing them out earlier.
Yes, he's getting on base for the power hitters, and he isn't giving away free outs by swinging at junk.
So losing Strider and Acuna is like losing the engine and the transmission of a sports car. And the Braves are surviving because they aren't trying to find a replacement engine.
Because that player doesn't exist.
Exactly. They are turning the car into a hybrid on the fly, relying on the extreme efficiency of high-contact, disciplined guys like Jarvis to keep the lineup moving.
That's the first engine of their survival, the depth strategy. The second engine is the remaining superstars just carrying the load.
Right. The depth guys get on base, but someone has to drive them in.
And right now, Matt Olson is essentially on Triple Crown watch. He's got 13 home runs, 33 RBIs, a 1.077 OPS. He just hit a go-ahead solo shot yesterday to beat the Mariners.
So Olson picks up the power void. But what about the pitching? If you lose Strider, you lose 250 strikeouts. How are they surviving on run prevention?
Through a massive, unexpected late-career renaissance from Chris Sale.
Wow.
At 37 years old, with his history of injuries, Sale has completely reinvented his mechanics. He's leading the National League with 6 wins and a 2.58 ERA right now. Plus, you have young arms like Bryce Elder stepping up.
It really is a bulletproof system. I mean, yes, they dropped the series finale to the Mariners today, losing 3-1, but mostly because Seattle's Brian Wu was just unhittable today.
Right, you're going to lose games in a 162-game season.
But zoomed out, They've constructed an infrastructure that doesn't rely on a single point of failure.
It is the ultimate realization of what Turner started. Building a real legacy isn't about loud stunts or putting TV call letters on a jersey. Those things build the myth.
Yeah.
But a real legacy is setting a foundation of operational excellence that keeps solving complex problems, like a catastrophic injury wave, long after the founder steps away.
The symmetry of today is just profound. As the world says goodbye to Ted Turner, the maverick who bought a struggling team, bounced their signal off a satellite, and willed them into becoming a national institution, the modern iteration of his franchise is actively demonstrating that the Winnersville culture he demanded is still fully operational.
The machine he funded in the 80s is still churning out division leaders today.
It's incredible. As we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. We spent a lot of time discussing how Turner bypassed regional TV restrictions with satellites. Well, recently, the Braves launched Braves.tv, a direct-to-consumer streaming service that completely bypasses modern regional cable blackouts.
Which is a direct digital echo of the superstation strategy.
Exactly. The tech changed from satellites to servers, but the aggressive circumvention of the rules is the exact same.
History doesn't repeat, but it definitely rhymes.
Absolutely. But here is the lingering question I want you to think about the next time you stream a live game on your phone. With media becoming so intensely fragmented today, where everyone is locked into their own algorithm across 100 different platforms.
It's so fractured.
It is. Will we ever see another single visionary completely monopolize and unite a global audience through sports and news, the way Ted Turner did? Or did the very media revolution that Turner started make sure there can never be another Captain Outrageous? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.